Sports.
Oh man, we were almost perfect that time.
Almost. Well, welcome to Stuff About Sports, another episode. Thank you, everybody who's joining in and hopping on. We got Corey in the building. We got Ty in the building. We're joined by beautiful Bugatti Bert in the building. Yeah, we're gonna get into it in a second, but first, I just want to shout out. The last couple weeks have been wild for the Give Us a Shot network. So I want to thank everybody who's been retweeting all of our stuff and sharing and commenting and just giving us a lot of love. Really appreciate it. Head on over to Stuff About Sports Instagram because we need to build up that following. We need to build up the Stuff About Sports Facebook page so we can go out and do some pretty cool stuff that we got planned, man. And so hopefully you guys can help us do that. And what else? Give Us a Shot network. We got Push the Agenda podcast with Ty. He's been killing it at noon. Short if you're need something to listen to on a lunch break or something like that, and you're like of the business mindset entrepreneur, that's like right up your alley, man. And he's been doing some really good stuff. Every single episode has been great. And then of course we got Mike Time Steve on the network. We got Bases Loaded, and then of course we got the best show on the network, the one we're doing right now. So Stuff About Sports.
Absolutely. And I got something I want to talk about. God damn it. Something's going on and it's like throwing me off. And I just saw that the article seems like came out that is approved now. Like, so is this really happening? The NFL is coming out with these new rules for, I guess, improving upon the Rooney rule and incentivizing teams to keep minority coaches for a certain amount of time to get draft picks and to get incentives essentially for keeping a black coach. I don't know. I guess it seems like it's coming from a good place, but rewarding people for keeping black people for a long period of time, just something about that rubs me the wrong way. Is that anybody else heard about that? Like, is that approved or what's going on, man?
So parts of it were approved. They had a meeting. In order to get everything approved, they had to have 24 out of 32 votes across the board. I know they stopped short for the incentives, so you're not going to see incentives at least this coming year on keeping minority coaches. However, rules were approved or expanded through the Rooney rule to where that owners have to interview at least 2 minorities per head coaching position and at least 1 minority for any coordinator position, not for coaches and for front office as well.
So before the Rooney rule before was 1 coach, well, at least interview 1 black head coach, essentially, right?
Right.
And now it's you have to interview at least 2.
At least 2.
And then all coaching positions as well. Is that what they're saying? Right? Is that
at least 2 for head coach? I believe front office is included, and then any sort of on-field coordinator, you must interview at least 1. A lot of these guys, what happens is the owner will hire a head coach, and the head coach will bring in their coordinators, and they're not going to sit down for a formal interview with the owners. They're just that's the coordinator they want to bring on. So it just kind of looks like they're just kind of across the board trying to build more diversity amongst coaching and front office. The wording of it to me is, I don't know about you guys, it's a little weird because, like I think Jamal said or Ty, like it almost seems like just right off the bat to give an incentive to keep minority coaches around just sounds wrong. It does. But then, looking at it with a lot of these owners, you're going to hire who you're comfortable with. And a lot of these owners are rich, old white men that probably grew up around other rich white people. So not that they necessarily have a problem hiring that minority, but they're just not used to it. They don't, they're not comfortable, not so much with the idea, but with that particular position, they're going to go with what they're used to. And that's just a white male. It goes for females too. White male.
That's sad. But Jamal, what do you think of that, man?
So it's funny because Corey kept using the word that the media is using when they're reporting this, and that's incentive. But it's really a bribe, right? They're telling these organizations, if you hire these minority coaches, and it doesn't have to be just black, it could be Hispanic. I think Ron Rivera is the only Hispanic coach right now.
Right. There's only, I think, 3 minority. There's 2 black head coaches, and then Ron Rivera. I think that's what it is right now,
right.
anyway.
And then you only have 2 minority owners. in the entire league. So, but essentially it's a bribe. And when I first saw it, I said, okay, this sounds really bad. It's insulting because it's basically saying that the minority coaches and owners can't get the jobs on their own, and now we have to bribe these organizations into doing it. Then the thought came across my mind, well, what they're really saying is that a black head coach is only worth 10 picks in the third round. Right? That's essentially what it is. It sounds and a coach and a GM are only worth 16 picks together. And so, and then I think if you hire a quarterback coach and keep them 2 years, it's like extra picks, compensatory picks in the fourth round or something of that nature. And I was really offended, and I would, if I was a coach, I would be really offended, because here's the problem. If me and Bert are competing to coach a football team, and Bert is more qualified, he's the better candidate, only by a little bit, right? I'm going to get the job because I'm going to get the extra picks. So I'm not going to get the respect in the organization internally, for damn sure. How are you supposed to coach and work and build a culture when you know that, you know, you're only here because you're only worth 10 picks? So, but on the flip side, it's really the only thing they can do, right? Like, at the end of the day, the problem is the owners, right? Like, there's nothing that you can really, the Rooney rule doesn't work because, as Corey was saying, it's the rich old white owners making these decisions. And it's not going to change until there's not any rich old white owners. The only thing that can really fix this problem is time, right? Eventually, there'll be a more diverse, progressive ownership. And then maybe you'll start seeing these minority things. It's really it's one of those things to me where it's the wrong thing, but for the right reason. And it's just,
right.
It just looks bad to me.
I can't wait for
I think the incentive, or at least the
on that note, Jamal, I can't wait for the rich white owners' daughters to take over. And because I already know that they love black guys. I can guarantee it. Like, usually since daddy doesn't like them, then the daughter probably does. Yeah. So hopefully they take over the teams and they start hiring black coaches and looking out more for us. I think that's what I see for our future.
Any given Sunday, Cameron Diaz did the right thing for all of us.
Exactly. Good point. Bert, I want your point though, Bert.
Yeah, sorry for the delay here, but you're right, Jamal. I'm agree with you. I think the phrasing incentive just does rub off the wrong way in itself. Immediately, where my mind went to this was leveling the playing field, right? So I get your point of view saying like, oh, well, they can't get it on their own, and perhaps maybe the only reason they're going to choose them is to get extra picks. I don't necessarily agree with that, because you're saying that, will an owner or a GM choose the right coach just so they get an extra draft pick 1 year, or retain so they get those draft picks, as opposed to motivating a locker room or calling the right plays, or, you know, seeing things how it is. But also, I saw it as more of like, obviously from the inclusion aspect of, let's give them an opportunity. Like, let's think outside of the box as usual, or instead of the usual, oh, well, you know, we know that this is what we're comfortable with, this is what we're going to go with, let's make sure we interview everybody. Well, I also went to the other side of things saying, well, you know, if we know so-and-so, let's say a white male head coach is the right fit for us, but, you know, we still have to interview, you know, individuals that come from minority background, you know, will those going into an interview know that whoever else is up against the role, they're more qualified, and I'm just like a pity interview, if you will, because I have to meet a quota. So there's a lot of right, there's a lot of wrong. Like you said, time will tell if this is the right move. But overall, it's kind of like that indifferent feeling. Like, it could do a lot of help, but it could also do a lot of hurt. So
yeah, no, it's that's the thing right there. Like, if there's ever a point where you have two candidates and you're only hiring one because of some picks, I don't think that's going to happen. I think no matter what, you're going to look for the better coach. But that's another point. And who did Jerry Jones just hire from the Packers?
McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy, right?
Mike McCarthy, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it was like so quick, wasn't it? Like, he hired him immediately, and it's like, I'm sure he interviewed a black guy just because he had to. That's when
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, and that's the reason
Hugh
why
Jackson made it, and Hugh Jackson basically said, "I only went out there for dinner." Like, and I think Jerry Jones was even getting investigated because it came out that Mike McCarthy was going to be the coach before he actually announced it, and he was already photographed in Dallas. And Hugh Jackson went on, I forgot what radio station he was on, but he basically was like, yeah, I mean, they brought me in and It was a good conversation with Jerry, but I knew I had no shot of getting the job. And
something that I think Dungy might have said, or some black elder said that I liked, because at first I didn't really like the Rooney Rule because of stuff like that. Like, you're interviewing black people just because you have to, but that does give them more exposure than they didn't have before, and an opportunity to at least interview and go through that process. So I do applaud it on that aspect a little bit. And like you said about this rule, is like, what else are we supposed to do? So it's like, at least they're doing something, and I'm glad that people see this and can take it and be like, all right, maybe we should look at how shit's happening. Like, maybe we should look at this, because this is only a microcosm of the whole society of freaking the world, of what's happening in this league. So it's like, look at this and start realizing the plight. That's all.
But the problem with the problem with this situation is it's not the interviewing, because obviously the black coaches are going to get the opportunities to be interviewed. But like, look at the Mike McCarthy situation. Jerry Jones' mind was already made up. It's the opportunity, right? The black coach or the minority coach doesn't get the leash. So the problem isn't the interviewing. It's the problem with, let them do the job. Steve Wilkes only got 1 year in Arizona. How are you supposed to fix anything? He goes 3-13 and then he gets fired because the hot new young white coach is coming, and they offered him a bunch of money. And it's like, all right, well, if Steve Wilkes was a white guy, because we've seen plenty of young white coaches, that I don't think that's ever happened to a white coach, to get 1 year. And that's it. No real shot. Chip Kelly was awful, and he got multiple years, and then he got another job on top of it in the NFL before they was like, all right, it's enough of you. And yes, there are, and I read a lot of, well, Marvin Lewis was bad in Cincinnati, all those years, and he continued to get work. And I said, okay, that's 1 out of 100. Go ahead, give me somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop. I hate when you use the outlier to make an argument. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Yes, Marvin Lewis didn't deserve the job as long as he did, and he's the one story out of the hundreds of thousands of white stories that you can point to, and if that's all you're coming to the table with, then you already lost the argument with me.
I want to take it to a little bit more light of a topic, and going off of NFL a little bit. NFL is talking about coming back with no fans, or like virtual fans, things like that, and it seems like there's a soccer club in South Korea that went another step. They didn't do like virtual fans. They used sex dolls. They used rubber synthetic sex dolls in their stands, and to replicate fans. And then I guess I got backlash from it too, because I mean, they're clothed. They weren't actually posed as sex dolls. They were just mannequins. But I guess I got flack for that. Like, did y'all see that?
Yes.
I did.
Yes. I gotta be honest. I thought it was awesome. First of all, when I first saw the picture, I just thought it was legit, like actual people in the stands, social distancing. Yeah. That's how real they looked. So
they looked super real.
So to get backlash from that, I think is crazy, because I think that company has the best promotional team ever to just give or donate all these dolls to sit there and look like actual people. So props to that company. Hey, whatever, man. Whatever gets it looking like an actual game and a sense of normalcy. Who cares what those dolls are purposed for? And, that's not what they were doing. They were just sitting there enjoying a baseball game.
Who knows what they're doing with them afterwards?
Right, but if the doll is not having sex at the moment, it's not a sex doll. It's just a doll,
just a
right?
doll.
But the funny thing is with that, I honestly was like, who's the guy that called in and recognized that was a sex doll? Because like Corey was saying, when I looked at it, I said, oh, there's a bunch of mannequins out there. Who's the person that says, oh, I know her. I have her in the closet.
That's a Cindy 3000.
Yeah, it's like who noticed who noticed it was the sex doll to report it to the Korean government? Like, oh, they have sex dolls. You got to report them. How do you know that it was a sex doll? You freak.
I bet you. It was some
exactly.
dude at home.
So I thought the same thing. I didn't understand why there was backlash or why they had to apologize, because the only person that would have been offended is the person that I guess would have known what they are. And if you know what they are and what they're used for, how can you be offended by it? You probably own one. So who's complaining out there, And how do you justify that complaint being like, well, I don't agree with them, but I know exactly what it's like. How do you know what they are if you don't agree? I don't know. It's just a whole weird situation.
The sex doll cheated on him.
The sex doll was complaining like, you never take me to any baseball games.
You cheated on him. That's insane.
So I obviously there's probably nobody watching that Korean soccer game, but ratings are in. Ratings are in for the sports that are back finally. NASCAR is back. There's some golf happening. There's things happening, and the ratings are back. And I was shocked. We were in a group chat, and you made Jamal actually. If you've seen any of the posts on the Stuff About Sports page, any of the graphics, that's all made by Jamal. And you made the graphic about NASCAR being back, and people are like, "Oh, who cares about NASCAR?" Lo and behold, NASCAR ratings are out, and they're shitting all over. They shit on the Last Dance. They shit on the PGA Tour, right?
Yep.
They shit on a couple different sporting events. What gives you? Is it because just sports has been gone and now it's back, or like is NASCAR really like what's up with that? NASCAR has the ratings.
Well, NASCAR, those ratings, I guess it's just live sports, right? There's a big contingent of people in the South, and it's the only thing on, and it had a great timing, right? It was Sunday afternoon, 3:00, where people are normally consuming like the more popular sports. And it was funny because I was in Facebook jail when I saw, because I was able to look at posts, and I'm pretty sure Corey said something to this guy because he was one of the first people said nobody cares about NASCAR. And then when the ratings, and I didn't think about it, I was like, hey, he's probably right. But then I saw the ratings, and I immediately ran back to those comments because by the time it was done, I was out of Facebook jail, and I was ready to light this guy up. And he must have deleted the comment because 10 million people watched, no fans in the crowd. I didn't watch the whole race, but I definitely tuned in just to see what it was like because I knew that it would be different. I knew that there wasn't going to be fans. I wanted to see how it was done. And it did look weird. It did look, I lost interest quickly because it's just cars. You can't really notice anything. But shout out to the people who like NASCAR and like that type of thing. But 10 million people is nuts to me.
It's a fluke, man. It's all a fluke, dude. It's
my mic was muted. I said, did anybody here watch it? No, exactly.
You know why? Because listen, if the choice is between no sports or NASCAR, I pick no sports, dude. I cannot watch NASCAR. I don't understand the fascination with it. I get some people really consider it a sport, but in recent years, as early as December of last year, NASCAR ratings were plummeting. They used to get an average of 5 million viewers per race. It was somewhere between 2 and 3 by the end of last year, 2019. Now, all of a sudden, it skyrocketed to 10 million, and that's only because of lack of everything else. Like Germ said, perfect time during the day. Nobody else was doing anything. Even people that would normally work on the weekends, your service industries, your bartenders, your waiters, your waitresses, they're all home because everything else is closed. So I think it was just a perfect storm of everything. Who watches NASCAR? Demographically, white people from the South. So white people from the South are not going to be concerned with Michael Jordan's Last Dance documentary because I highly doubt they watch basketball. So this was a fluke. It was a flounder. It was. You won't see it again.
I agree.
Oh, probably not. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100. Like I said, I tuned in. I just wanted to see what it would look like. You know what I mean? Like I listened to a lot of the ESPN radio stuff and, all the differences that the drivers would have to go through. I was interested in that part, and I watched probably the first 4 or 5 laps. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go do something else now. Like,
because you've seen it. I mean, after you see one lap,
I've seen it. Like,
you've seen the rest of the laps.
and I had it on. It was on in the background, and I just had other work to do. So it was on, and I kind of glanced at it. I didn't watch it. I probably gave him the ratings, some of the ratings. So shout out to me for helping them get to 10 million or to however much they had. But it was cool. It was cool to know that it was on and have people talking about it actively. You know what I mean? And it's just the first step. It's really not even about NASCAR, right? It's about live sports, and it's just the first step. And hopefully more and more will trickle in here.
No doubt.
I'm obviously shocked by that. So next thing I have out on the docket is NBA. A little bit of NBA with Spencer Dinwiddie had a real odd idea. He was trying to fund. Since obviously NBA is in furlough, I guess, right? Like we're not playing right now. Who knows when's going to come back? But obviously we're in the middle of a season, And Dinwiddie, I guess, put out is it a GoFundMe page or
It was a GoFundMe, something to do with like Bitcoin to raise $24 million
to pay for his contract?
I guess so.
Like,
Well,
he was trying. I think what he was trying to do. Yeah, he was honestly, the idea was good. It was going to be.
No.
It was trying to get the players. No. It's only because we know what the end result is, and I'll let Ty finish setting it up. But the basic premise was to give the players a little bit more negotiating power when it comes to their contracts, to let them know, I can go out and do this on my own, and try to take a little bit of negotiating power away from the owners. And go ahead, Ty. You can finish.
No, I'm reading it now because honestly, I only know what you told me, and I'm trying to still understand it because I thought he was trying to say, I got a $25 million contract that's on hold, so y'all should pay me because I'm like hurting or something. Like that's how I took it, was my contract is on hold. Let me go try to fund it from the public. Like that's just such a weird.
And then I'll let you guys decide who I play for the next year. Like,
so if the fans were to donate all that, and then now they can vote or something and say play here. What the hell?
That's the biggest draw is because he's a free agent next year. He doesn't know where he's going to go. He doesn't know how the end of this might hurt his potential of making money next year. So he's just trying to do something. I don't know if you guys look. The GoFundMe has, I think, less than $1,000. So he's not doing too hot. I think the highest donation.
Just short. He's just short of that goal, just a little bit.
The highest donation was from one Nets fan that donated $69. But it's exactly. It's
go ahead and do you know the name of that organization that he did that with?
No.
Do you know the name? He's not just a Mets fan. He owns a company. Do you want to go ahead and give us a shot? Give a shout out to that company name. I can pull it up real fast. It's hilarious.
No, I didn't even see that.
You didn't see it? I put it in the group chat earlier. Somebody filibuster for 2 seconds because I can find it. It is called.
No doubt.
Spencer Dinwiddie. I think it's tough too because nobody really. I mean, basketball fans and Net fans, I think, know Spencer Dinwiddie, but nobody knows Spencer Dinwiddie. Like,
he's not a household name. He's not.
No. It doesn't help that his name is pretty whack too. His name is really weak. No offense, Spencer, but like Spencer on his own is a little and then you add Dinwiddie and it's like, damn. No. Like
it's like a Harry Potter character. Something I would read.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie is not. He's not. I think he was an all-star last year too. But I
love him though. No, I do love him.
He is a good player. It's just this was not helping the black executive cause. So the company that fan, the Nets fan that donated the generous highest donation of $69, did it with his company, which is Poopy Poop Butt Soup. That is. I reached out to the company Poopy Poop Butt Soup and did not get a comment back. They said that they're going to have to talk to their legal team. Hopefully, we'll try to get them on happy hour. But that's Poopy Butt Soup. So shout out to them.
Butt Soup. Definitely. I'd love to know what they make. I would love to give them a shout out, get some free advertising from Poopy Butt Soup. I would. Well, let's see. Actually,
Dinwiddie's biggest fan.
Let's see how much of a donation it would cost to get Spencer on Friday's happy hour and talk to us about his end goal here.
So speaking of this wasn't even really on the docket, but now I'm thinking about the Nets. When basketball does return, the Nets are in the playoffs. Is KD? He might be back? Does KD might be back or what? That's scary.
Contradicting stories here. I read at first that he wasn't going to come back, but that didn't come from KD. And then somebody, KD does all the, his little Zoom, interviews. And he was like, hell yeah, I'm coming back. If we resume the season, I can play right now. I'm healthy. I'm good to go.
Damn.
So, I don't know if he's going to come back or not, but if it was me, or maybe not me, because the player's always going to want to play. If I am the Brooklyn Nets, there is no way in hell Kevin Durant plays this season. No. There's no need. There's no need for him to play. There's no need for the Nets. I mean,
Well,
you have no idea what the
the
rest of the season is going to be.
I have to stop you there. There is a need. The need of every organization is win a championship. Are you telling me that KD playing right now in the Nets in the East is not a possibility? Hell the fuck yeah, it is. That's a possibility and a half. Why would you not?
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Coming off the coronavirus, he's coming off an injury. He can't really work out. I know a lot of people can't work out, but with him not being able to be around the rehab team to really assess his recovery, not being able to play basketball in the amount of time that he hasn't been able to play, I don't doubt that he could, but with the investment that Brooklyn has made, there's no way I would allow him to without a real off season, not this extended break where I know a lot of players aren't playing, but again, it's not really about that. It's really, he's not around the trainers. He's not around the coaches. He's not around the Bills so they can properly assess, because he's not Spencer Dinwiddie, right? He's Kevin Durant. Like you need him for not this year. You need him for.
Yeah. He has RG3 legs too. So you got to be careful with KD. He's a little frail, but so no, I mean, I'm saying that like obviously, but his level of talent is next. You argue him better than LeBron. And so I was having an argument like KD's arguably the best player in the league. So you don't just throw him back. Yeah, you gotta. He has to be healthy. But after all this time off, and hopefully that's healed, barring saying that he does get back into basketball groove, man, they have a chance to win this year. So I say take that shot, because it's better than taking a whole season. Like shit, now you only have a spurt at the end of a season to go for a championship. I think that's worth it if I'm the Nets.
It can be done.
Agree.
Oh, go ahead, Corey. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I would just say I would agree. I mean, and politics aside, when basketball does resume, it'll of course be under different restrictions. But with all this talk and all this, it's going to be worse come the fall. It's going to be this, that. We don't know what sports are going to look like in the fall. So I think if I'm KD and I have a chance to at least play for the last month here, just a little bit, and then possibly see what happens, I would absolutely try to jump on and play. That's just
that would be the only benefit, right? Just to get some burn. But I'm going off the premise that they're going for the championship, which is a natural thing. Again,
in the East, man, I just think in the East is so wide open to me.
The logic is there. Could he do it? Absolutely. And honestly, I wouldn't doubt, like, if they did that and then won the championship, I wouldn't be surprised. And I would still say that's a heavy risk, man. Like, again, you're not there for this year, this broken season that we have. You're here for the next 10 years, possibly, or whatever the contract, however long you plan on staying. And for me, the risk, because what happens, because we don't, again, it's going to be a condensed season. I'm guessing they're going to play as many games as possible in as short as window as possible, with no playing time, with no rehab, proper training. It's too much for me.
It'll definitely be a more stressful schedule, I think. Yeah.
Right. That's my only, again, in terms of his ability, I don't doubt it. It's like Corey said, for me, it's strictly political. It's not about this year. It's about the future.
Well, we're on the same page in terms of we definitely both don't want him to, as Sixers fans. I think going into the season, I was like, thank God KD is not playing this year. Like, that was and Kawhi. Like, that was like the best thing ever. Like, oh, Kawhi's gone? Okay. Kawhi's gone, LeBron's gone, and then KD is here, but he ain't playing. So we have a season. I was like, man, this is our season, Sixers. We have to do it this season, because next year, I don't know, because KD is back, and I'm scared of KD. I'm sorry.
I'm terrified.
Yeah, man, we don't got if we had Jimmy Butler, then maybe I wouldn't be as scared.
That's what makes the Sixers season even more disappointing than it was. The fact that we're underperforming is because this is our shot. This is our window. And the fact that we've been underperforming, I don't think the Sixers are a bad team. I just think they're underperforming. I think they have the talent to make it happen, but it's like, if KD comes back, bro, that like kind of cuts that in half. It's scary.
Yeah. So sticking on the basketball tip, another odd thing that I'm seeing. What I guess is the Jordan doc over? Is the Last Dance done now? So I guess in the wake of that, people are talking about it. NBA veteran, I believe is he retired yet? Channing Frye, is he retired? Channing Frye, He should be.
He's not retired. He sucks, and nobody wants to.
Okay, so he's retired.
So
yeah,
he's retired. Yeah, the league retired him. He didn't retire. The league retired him.
And if it wasn't retired, he's definitely retired now because this guy just came out on a podcast. I don't want to say the name of the podcast because fuck them. But Channing Frye came out on a podcast and said about Jordan. I'm gonna quote the whole quote. Jordan only had one job, and that was to score. And he did that at an amazing rate. But I don't feel like this way of winning would translate to what it is now. Guys wouldn't want to play with him. Guys wouldn't want to play with him. That's Channing Frye. The definitely now retired, definitely not getting a job anymore, Channing Frye. What say you? Would people not want to play with Channing obviously people don't want to play with Channing Frye, but would you not want to play with Jordan people nowadays?
Of course not. Who would not want to play with Jordan? Even take it back to 90, let's just say 97, where Jordan is quote unquote at the end of his career. Both we all know that it was a long shot. He ended his career way too early, at least definitely with the Bulls. But you heard it from watching the doc. You heard Steve Kerr. You heard Scotty. You heard all the other guys that would play on the Bulls that would say, they wouldn't want to be berated by Mike. They didn't want to be called out or anything like that, but they were there putting in the work because they lived to play for him and they wanted to be there to at least help him. They knew like you heard D-Rod, like I knew, he said in that last 30 seconds of game 6 in 98, he's like, I was getting out of the way. I knew he was shooting the ball. They all knew the player he was, but you got to be kidding me to think that you wouldn't want to fucking play on a team with Michael Jordan. I would love to just be in the same room as Jordan right now as a 50.
That's like saying I want to be a loser. Like, nah, I'm cool with being a loser. I'd rather not be a winner. That makes no sense. But I do get. So obviously, I think what he's trying to say is people now, especially nowadays, with the pussification of the world.
Thank you, Ty.
It's just facts. Just facts. It's not even a debate. Yeah. It's just facts. The world is softer. Period. So yeah, maybe nowadays people might not want to deal with that, but the athlete, like the athlete that's the champion, the people that want to win and people that want to, at that level, I believe that they should want to be challenged. You should want to be challenged at that level. You're not that level. You should want to win. You should want to be a champion. Nobody should not want to play with Jordan because he's an asshole. He's a champion. But Jimmy Butler's an asshole, but he's not a champion. So you can say stuff like that about him, but people like Kobe and Jordan, you can't. They win, so you have to be okay with their assholeness. Like it's like my dad. My dad was an asshole, but I love him because he took care of me. So I'm cool with you being an asshole, pops, because you taught me great things. But the asshole neighbor, nah, like fuck him. But Jordan, come on, man.
I'm glad you said Kobe's name because that's my rebuttal. That's the only rebuttal I need to say about Channing Frye. Kobe Bryant. People wanted to go to LA, and Dwight Howard, LaMarcus Aldridge, these guys wanted to go there. The problem was, like you, Channing Frye, they were soft because LaMarcus Aldridge hasn't done shit in San Antonio. Dwight Howard hasn't done shit since he left Orlando, period. It's clear that he's soft. And the only people who say stuff, it's my thing. You know who says money doesn't buy you happiness? It's people who don't have fucking money, right?
Broke people.
So the people who broke people say shit like that, dumb shit like money doesn't buy you happiness. Only bums and soft NBA players say, oh, that style of play wouldn't happen today. First off, Channing Frye, you're not good enough to even talk like this. How dare you talk? You would be lucky. You wouldn't even be in the league when Michael Jordan was playing. So how dare you? You wouldn't even make a roster. You are not allowed to have this opinion. I don't get when they say, oh, everybody's entitled to their opinion. No, they're not. Channing Frye, you're not entitled to this opinion. You are a bum. I can't remember. Was he on the LeBron championship team? Is that why he's saying this? Is that why he's saying this ridiculousness?
So that's why I want to get. I was saying take it there, take it there, because people. So, I mean, LeBron is a teammate, and he elevates his team. This is the argument. This is the argument people have about LeBron versus Jordan. So like, Channing Frye is obviously saying Jordan was only a scorer. Now, obviously not. He did correct himself. He's not saying he was only a scorer. He's a great defender. He's just saying that was his main gig. That's what he was going to do at the end of the game. I'm going to score, as opposed to LeBron that's looking to facilitate and just try to win any ways possible. So, I mean, what say you about that? Because Channing Frye obviously is alluding to that.
He is alluding to that, and it's a shame. You know what? If Channing Frye was better, and if LeBron was better, you know what we'd have that Jordan has? 6 rings. LeBron only has 3 of them things, and guess what? He only got 1 of them with each team. He had to jump teams and replace guys, bums like you, Channing Frye, with all those teams. Because guess what, Channing Frye? You wouldn't be on the Miami teams either. So Jordan, and it's funny that you mentioned LeBron because I'm done with Channing Frye. Channing Frye, you're an idiot. LeBron comes out after the end of the doc, and there's one. I want to get back to the doc because there was one part of that was really interesting to me about how it ended. But then LeBron comes out because he can't help himself because he's insecure. Mentions that Jerry Jones offered him a football contract during the lockout. Why are we only hearing about this years later? You want to know why? Because Michael Jordan was getting all this praise for going to play baseball during their lockout season, and LeBron was like, "Oh well, you know, I was even working out, and I was going to play." Oh, now you're just volunteering this information. You knock it off. You weren't doing shit. You weren't playing. You weren't going to go play football for the Dallas Cowboys. Get out of here. You know why? And you know why I know that's not true? Because as I alluded, LeBron can't get anything done in Dallas. Just like he couldn't beat the Dallas Mavericks in the 2011 NBA Finals when J.J. Barea locked him down. Enough of you, LeBron James. Stop talking. Enough.
Corey, I want to hear your take, man. I mean, this guy is saying people don't want to play with Jordan today. Like, what the hell?
I mean, look, it's unheard of to even try to mumble those words that you don't want to play with Jordan. You have some of the greats that have played with him, and they wouldn't change it for the world. And even at the end of the documentary, spoiler alert, they even said, like, you know, if at the end of the 98 season after that championship, if Krause would have said, hey, sign for 1 more year, you know, I'll keep Phil, I'll keep Kerr, I'll keep Scotty, I'll keep Rodman, I'll keep these guys for 1 year to see if you can do it again before we rebuild. Would you do it? And he said everybody would have said yes. So if this guy is if it's that type of mentality of, oh, that would never work. No, it worked. It worked 6 times. It did. And as far as LeBron goes, anybody can. I mean, Russell Wilson said the same thing. He was signed, I think, to the Rangers for, you know, if for some reason he didn't want to go to football. I think it's just like that glorified of, oh, I'm going to take batting practice, or I'm going to catch a few footballs, and the owner goes, oh, you know, I'll sign you for a year, and here's a contract. It's a publicity stunt, and it never would have went through at all. LeBron could not.
No. It was like one of those. It was like one of those things where you go on a field trip, like you go to NASA for like a field trip, and they give you like you're an astronaut certificate. That's all you got.
You guys are assholes. You're an asshole. No way. First of all, LeBron,
shut the hell up.
LeBron,
shut up.
Yo, there was an alternate universe at that time that we didn't experience and we didn't see. But parallel at that time, LeBron was playing football. He played football for the Browns and the Cowboys. He might have got traded or something. But dog, this guy could have been a football player, and if you're crazy if you think otherwise. I do believe.
No. I never said that. I didn't say he could if he dedicated his energy. He's such a super athlete.
But that's the thing. Like, so people like Deion Sanders and Michael Jordan and people like that, they get a pass. As in, if they want to go play, if LeBron said, "I want to play football," Jerry Jones would sign him. That's not a joke. Jerry Jones would let him play tight end all day long. Anybody in NFL, most teams would sign LeBron, even probably today, because this guy is an athletic freak and he's an athlete. I mean, listen, the best tight ends are basketball players. If he were to go out there and do jump balls in the end zone, he would get signed right now and play and make and get stats. Like, and I would probably draft him in my fantasy league. Like, that's not even bullshit. So I think the only reason he didn't though was because he probably didn't want to, right? It's not smart. You're gonna go out there and get banged up. Like,
that's my point. But that's exactly my point. So Russell Wilson had no intention of going to play baseball, right? But we all knew that he was going out there. We knew about it. LeBron, if LeBron was seriously considering football during the NBA lockout, we would have heard more about it. We didn't hear anything about it. We just said, why are we just hearing about this now then? If you were telling us that you were actually training for football, like, we knew when Russell Wilson was going to just go play in like some bullshit, baseball summer league. Like, we know everything. Anytime an athlete dabbles into like a secondary sport, we hear about it a lot because it's not unheard of. But now all of a sudden we're supposed to expect that LeBron James, the biggest athlete in the world, kept the fact that he had a contract for the Dallas Cowboys and he was about to go play for the Dallas Cowboys, the biggest team in the world, under wraps, that nobody knew about it until all of a sudden, magically, the end of the Jordan doc, when everybody was praising him for playing baseball, minor league baseball at that. Get out of here, LeBron. Just shut up. Just stop talking. Just shut up.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was a ploy by LeBron and Jerry Jones just to get in the press. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yeah, because LeBron's insecure.
And Sean Simmons on Facebook says, I love you guys. I love you too, Sean. But why doesn't Jordan's Detroit years affect his legacy? I'm going to answer that first and say, and he said, go Kobe at the end of that. It does affect his legacy in terms of solidifying it because he overcame that obstacle. He was young, facing the bad boy Pistons, and they were kicking his ass. And that's fine. Like, everybody loses, but for him to lose multiple years and come back and overcome that and then win 6 championships, that is what solidifies his legacy because he had to get through them, and he did get through them.
Right. All with the same team. He didn't run. He didn't tell Magic Johnson and Larry Bird to come to the.
Well, you got Rodman. You got Rodman. He took Rodman from the Pistons.
Listen.
That was like one of the hugest pieces too.
But the Rodman at the time, like, we're looking back on it now because that team was well put together. But that team wasn't like, Jordan was still having to score 30, 40 points a game. Like, it wasn't like, it's not like it was the Warriors. Of course. I'm not. Okay. It's going to sound like I'm saying that the team was overrated. But Jordan's team was a little overrated. We're only remembering it historically because they did historic shit. But if you like really go back, I get that he had Scotty on there, but it like that team overall with like Longley and Ron Harper, like the pieces just, they built a good team and it just worked. But it wasn't like Jordan just was able to take his foot off the gas. Like, he still had to score basically all the points. Like, Scottie Pippen was going 1 for 10 in playoff games. It wasn't like life was a breeze for Michael Jordan. 538 did a really interesting piece, and I'm going to share it to the Stuff About Sports. I shared it with you guys, or I think I shared it with you, Ty, that Michael Jordan, statistically, like the numbers say it, faced harder competition than LeBron. The teams he played were better. The league was just better. I know that's been a long-standing debate, but 538, shout out to them. They do a lot of like scientific analysis with sports. If anybody doesn't know what that is, go check it out. It's not even just sports, it's like a bunch of other stuff, but they released a whole long list of why Jordan's teams not only were better, faced better teams, but where his teams underperformed compared to LeBron's. And so that team wasn't overrated, but they're a little bit overrated. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say that because they were great together as a unit, but people act like he was playing with the dream team and won titles when that wasn't the case.
Definitely not. So, on the final note, anything else we didn't cover that y'all feel like we need to? Anything else in these sports streets that we should have said that we didn't say?
Are we allowed to talk bad about Alex Rodriguez or no?
No. On that note, it's been real. It's been real. I love you all. Stuff About Sports podcast every Tuesday, 8 p.m. We're here, and Fridays at 5 p.m. we're here for the happy hour. And you will never know who's going to show up at happy hour. We had goddamn A-Rod. Last week we had goddamn Big Will Richardson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. This Friday we're going to have beep. You got to tune in to find out. Okay? Tune in to find out. Yes. This is the Give Us a Shot Network. Give Us a Shot.network. We're signing off.
Follow us on Instagram.
That too.